Tonight at 6, another major storm batters much of the UK with heavy rain, strong winds and snow. Storm Chandra brings widespread floods to large parts of southwest England. In the north of England, blizzard conditions make driving treacherous. With torrential rain, snow and strong winds. Tonight, more than 90 flood alerts are in place across England, including one severe danger to life warning in Dorset, as rain fell on already saturated ground. A gust of 81 miles per hour was recorded in County Down. Many schools across Northern Ireland were closed and flights across the UK have been disrupted. And when the storm passes, forecasters have issued warnings for ice for large parts of the country. Well, in a moment, we will have the latest live from Belfast and the southwest of England, some of the worst affected areas. But first, Layla Hayes reports on the third major storm to hit the UK this month.
Cars submerged and homes flooded. This is Devon after being hammered by another storm. In Axminster, this van and its driver had to be rescued.
Oh, look at me, I'm shaking because I thought I was going to break down, you know, halfway through that. There's about 100 yards of just pure deep water.
This was the River Otter, which reached its highest level ever recorded. And villages, including Tipton St John, saw schools closed and houses flooded.
I've not lived here that long, so to see it actually flood like this and to hear the neighbours say that this is the worst it's ever flooded. They've seen it flood before, they've seen the cars get stranded, but to see the school underwater and to see so many cars affected, it's just such a shame to see the dismay on their faces.
It was like flooded up to where we are stood now, and it was just like all the water was rushing down the roads and all the farms being flooded and stuff like that.
It was a bit scary because, I haven't ever seen the flood this big, and it was, just a bit weird.
This was the nearby village of Ottery St Mary, where strong winds also brought this tree down. Thankfully, no one was injured. In neighbouring Somerset, flooding also closed roads. On this street in Taunton, residents were woken at 5 o'clock this morning to water gushing into their homes.
My house is completely flooded, all ground floor. Everything is completely damaged. Kitchen, ground floor, all floor, to be honest. I feel terrible because I try cleaning everything. I really try. I can't do anything because water coming from underneath the house.
In Cornwall, the sandbags were down, but it did little to protect this street in Helston.
I'm all right at the minute because my house hasn't flooded yet. But obviously the neighbours is flooding and mine's probably another 50 mil away and it's still rising and just no one's come to help.
This is the third major storm to hit the UK so far this year, and many fear it won't be the last. Layla Hayes, ITV News.
Let's get the latest picture now from Jordan Moore in Belfast and Karen Bell in Somerset. Turning to you, Karen, first.
Yeah, Mary, as we've just been hearing, it's been a rotten day for so many residents in the southwest of England, flooding in Cornwall through to Devon, up to where I am in Somerset. And we've still got a danger to life flood warning in place for the Upper Froom River near Dorchester. I am on the Somerset Levels. Now, if you're not familiar with them, it's basically like a miniature Netherlands, extremely flat with large canal-like draining channels running through them. Behind me is a pumping station, one of several, whose job it is to pump the water out of the channels and into the nearby river. And you can see staff from the Environment Agency are working through the hours of darkness now to increase the capacity of this pumping station. This region was devastated by floods in 2014. At this time of year in particular, it is totally reliant on mechanisms like this to stay dry-ish. So for residents here, what's going on now is probably deeply unsettling. It shows just how vulnerable the Somerset Levels are, particularly because more rain is forecast this week.
I think it's safe to say it's not been quite as bad in Northern Ireland, but it's still been a very wet and a very windy day. How wet and how windy? Well, in Catesbridge in County Down, it recorded its wettest ever day with almost 10 centimetres of rain falling in a 24-hour period. And as you've heard, there have been gusts on the east coast of Northern Ireland of up to 81 miles an hour. That's caused widespread disruption, with the M1, one of the busiest roads in and out of Belfast in Northern Ireland, being closed for a time earlier today. It has since, however, reopened, but that was due to a lot of flooding, which caused a lot of disruption on the roads this morning. And fallen trees and localised flooding has caused delays, with one woman being taken to hospital in Fermanagh after a tree fell in her car. There were a number of ferry services to Scotland from Belfast and Larne that were cancelled today, and Belfast City Airport had no flights flying up until 2 p.m, and 300 schools were closed across Northern Ireland. But I think it's important to say that, like that motorway being reopened, ferry services are due to resume later. There's also been a resumption of those flights at Belfast City Airport, and debris is starting to be cleared as the storm seems to pass. But it's important to note we're not out of the woods just yet. 10,000 people this morning were left without power across Northern Ireland. That was about 4,000 by lunchtime. However, there will still be people tonight who are going home without any power in their homes. There is still a yellow weather warning in place for wind and for rain up until midnight tonight, and there is an ice warning in place from 3 a.m. to 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.
OK, Jordan Moore from Belfast and Karen Bell in Somerset. Thank you all. Storm Chandra also caused disruption across much of the Republic of Ireland. Motorists stranded in their cars in Dublin had to be rescued from floodwaters, and at least 30,000 people were left without electricity. The Irish Met Office says the worst of the storm is not over, and more flooding is likely in the coming days. The third major storm to hit the UK this month, Storm Chandra, has brought flooding, travel disruption and led to hundreds of schools being closed. South West England and Northern Ireland have been hit hard by heavy rain. Northern England and Scotland are having to battle snow with more forecast. In Northern Ireland, there's an amber warning for strong wind, and this is all the rain that has hit the UK today, with more rain, snow and ice warnings issued for large parts of the UK. Well, Jenny Kumar is in Devon, where the River Otter has reached its highest ever recorded level.
Well, yes, the river remains very high. The rain has started up again, and people here are really feeling that this month they've just received such a battering. First there was Storm Goretti, which left a trail of devastation across Cornwall. Then there was Storm Ingrid, more damage, particularly to South Devon. And just as people are clearing up here today, they're bracing themselves for more bad weather later this week. The third storm of the month, and the green fields of Devon overwhelmed with water. After a night of relentless heavy downpours, people ventured out to see the River Otter. With a severe flood warning in place, it was at its highest recorded level. In the nearby village of Tipton St John, people say this is the worst they've seen it in years. Cars attempting to drive through inundated roads ended up stranded.
Unfortunately, somebody drove through in their car and hit the water with force, and their car started floating.
Natalie tells me her husband helped the driver to escape from the blue car.
They couldn't get out. My husband managed to say to them to undo their windows and advise them to climb on top of the car roof, and called the fire brigade, and they had to come and rescue that person in a boat, but very, very, very scary.
The village primary is among 40 schools that closed today in Devon, and this one has been badly damaged. So there's quite a strong smell of damp in here.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the floor looks pretty ruined as well.
Yes.
So what's this mean for the children and their education?
This particular class will have to be relocated. And actually, from past experience, what we've noticed as well is obviously outside there's a lot of soiled water, which means we're not going to be able to use the playgrounds for certainly for a while.
Well, flooding like this has caused a lot of disruption here. It is beginning to recede, and the focus is now on the clear-up and removing vehicles like this that have got stuck. In Topsham near Exeter, residents have spent the day clearing water from their houses.
Oh, I just cut mine off.
Somerset has also been hard hit. This is the village of Martock. Northern Ireland bore the brunt of the storm. More than 300 schools and colleges closed. Belfast City Airport cancelled over 2 dozen flights. 10,000 homes were left without power. Flooding burst the riverbanks in the town of Culcavy. Local farmer David helped to save residents by redirecting the water flow.
I know they were panicking a bit, but I think everybody pulled together here, and the fire brigade were first in, and then council come with some sandbags there as well.
In higher areas of England, heavy rainfall is turning to snow. This ambulance and the local doctor needed to be rescued in the Yorkshire Dales as they were responding to an emergency call. Blizzard-like conditions are expected in parts of Scotland where there's a yellow warning for snow and rain and a risk of flooding. Wales also has a number of flood warnings and alerts in place. Back in Devon, the water is beginning to recede, but with more bad weather forecast for later this week, many communities feel they're not out of the woods yet. Jenny Kumar, BBC News, Devon.
And let's go to Sarah Gervin now, who's in Culcavy in Northern Ireland, where thousands of properties are without power and hundreds of schools have been closed. What is the situation there tonight?
Yeah, well, Storm Chandra has brought really heavy rain and really strong winds across Northern Ireland today, which are actually picking up again now. More than 350 schools were closed and just under 4,000 homes across Northern Ireland remain without power. And just to give you an idea of how severe the weather has been today, there was a gust of wind at 81 miles per hour recorded in County Down today. In the same county, in a place called Catesbridge, 10 centimetres of rain fell today, and we think that that's the wettest ever day in that area. Usually just 8 centimetres of rain falls in the entire month of January. And we do know at least one person has been injured during these stormy conditions. A tree fell on a woman's car in County Fermanagh. She was taken to hospital, though we do understand that her condition is not serious. And we are in Culcavy in County Down, as you say, where a river just nearby has burst its banks. And actually you might just be able to see that the water is racing down the streets, although actually the residents here have been pretty lucky so far. None of their homes have been flooded, and that's because they came together. They've put out sandbags here. A farmer has built these dams, and they will be hoping that that holds tonight. Now, there is an amber weather warning for wind that finishes at 9 p.m, a yellow warning for rain until midnight, and a new ice warning that's in place in Northern Ireland from 3 a.m. until 10 a.m. So Storm Chandra certainly making her presence felt here.